when Tom Fontana was casting Oz, they were looking for somebody who was kind of wacky and crazy, and it was the first time there were any dramatic cable shows on television. It was HBO, it wasn't even TV, and so we had the show that takes place in a prison, and all this terrible stuff happens, and there's no break. And so they hired me kind of as the commercial break in between. So like I wound up being the narrator in the show because I had to break the action sometimes. And so, because just terrible things happen in prison.
So I know, and then the show as well. I mean, your character, Harold Perrineau here on the Rich Eisen Show, one of the few rootable characters, like on Oz, like
right.
where we could root for you.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
We wanted you to succeed, wanted you to get out, wanted
right.
you to survive.
And you see what happens, you still get shanked.
Spoiler alert. I know. Did you ever, when you were shooting Oz, just need a break? Like take a minute from some of those scenes?
Yeah. One of the really fantastic things is we had a bunch of really amazing New York actors who were there and really committed to the craft of acting, and mixed with a lot of people who weren't actors. We had actual gang members. We had these guys that were in the really early part of the UFC. They were our stunt guys who were doing all the fighting and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yeah. There were a bunch of dudes. The Shamrocks came, and they were. If you go back and look, you'll see Frank Shamrock and his brother. They were some of the early guys who were fighting in our thing. Our buddy Gerald, TJ. Gerald would come by and he would do some stunts and fight and stuff like that. Chuck Zito, all these guys that aren't actors, but they were really, really willing to just try crazy stuff. And so, but because we would try such crazy stuff, sometimes you just had to go and let your brain, calm down, because it's just so much aggression.
Because it was on 10 o'clock at night on HBO. Sometimes Susie, who you know my wife.
Yeah.
We would sometimes not watch it live. We'd have to watch it earlier in the night because we couldn't just watch it and go to sleep.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't. We would just be so stunned by what we saw. Yeah. And never would want to. I don't know what it just worked as a program to just make you think. Make you pause, make you reviled, and feel terrible about the human condition sometimes. Right. And so you couldn't just be like, okay, right, good night, good night. Just exactly. Snap the light off.
Yeah. It's really one of those things that really made you think about prison and reform and what we're actually doing in the country. Are we, is it retribution? Are we reforming people? Are we, what's actually happening there? And you realize that we just haven't really answered that question with prison. And you think prison is like, oh, it's locked away and it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of society, but that's not true. You know what I mean? The people in prison still have contacts outside of prison, and and you start talking about who runs prisons and who goes to prison, and it's just such a big, difficult thing to figure out, and that's what the show actually talks a lot about. It's not just like, it's not as easy as some people think. You do something bad, you go to prison. It's
right.
Like
I know.
So much more to think about.
And so many, the acting, your fellow cast members,
your
fellow cast members,
such great people.
Rita Moreno, Ernie Hudson, who we just saw as well. He's been on this program. Same thing with J.K. Simmons. Everything about his character was not his kind of tempo.
At all. Yeah.
I mean, Schillinger. Oh my God,
terrible character. Yeah.
And then there was you. You know, we were just.
You're right. There's kind of the only, rootable one.
And Rita Moreno, her character as well. Rooting for her. You were in a ton of scenes with her. I mean, we're talking about a legend.
Like I said, I'm a musical theater dude. So
that's right.
I remember meeting Rita Moreno.
She had the EGOT way before she did Oz.
I remember we had a closing night party, and I walked into this club, and I was pretty young, and somebody goes, Harold! And I look over, and it's Rita Moreno screaming my name.
In a club?
In a club in New York.
You're like, wow.
What? I was like, we're here.
And you must have watched The Electric Company as a kid too. You know,
I watched The Electric Company. One of my favorite musicals ever was West Side Story.
Sure.
When she was dating Marlon Brando, I just love Rita Moreno. I don't know what to say. And so Electric Company.
Did you ask her about Marlon Brando? Did you ever do?
I did. I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody.
But you did?
Yeah, Rich. She called my name in a club. That gave me ask away.
And you went there, huh?
Not that night. But
Okay.
It felt like we were friends.
Very good. So. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.